It's described as the most consequential election in decades, a vote that could end 25 years of socialist rule in Venezuela. The stakes are high. Many voters line the streets of the capital, Caracas, waiting for hours to cast their vote.
I just hope that everything remains calm and peaceful. And of course I hope that whatever the results may be, that they are accepted.
With tensions running high, there was anger and frustration at one polling station, where people said they were not allowed to go in and vote.
They won't let us in. Why? We want to vote. We want to see a free Venezuelan nation, not one imposed by late President Chavez or President Maduro.
Despite fears of electoral fraud, President Nicolas Maduro says he will respect the election results.
Reconozco y reconoceré.
I recognize and will recognize the electoral mediator, the official bulletins, and I will ensure they are respected. I call on the 10 presidential candidates, on the 38 political parties, to respect and declare publicly that they will respect the official results.
But doubts linger. Institutions loyal to the president have not allowed millions of Venezuelans abroad to register and vote. It's also barred the opposition primary winner, Maria Corina Machado, from running. Yet polls show her replacement, former diplomat Edmundo Gonzalez, has an advantage of at least 25 points. The opposition, some say, has the best chance it's had in years.
We have denounced for a long time that these elections are not transparent nor competitive, but we also believe that the vote will reaffirm the overwhelming will of the people.
The election is testing Maduro's grip on power.
We've seen signals from some spokespeople that are different from what we'd heard previously, saying the results will be recognized and that they will respect the results. And that is precisely what the entire country wants to hear.
But last week, Maduro warned that if he were not re-elected, the country could face a bloodbath, leaving both Venezuelans at home and abroad on edge. Katia Lopez-Hodoyan, Al Jazeera.
And joining me now is Laura Dib. She's the director for Venezuela at the Washington Office on Latin America, a research and advocacy organization. And she comes to us live from Washington, D.C. Very good day, Laura. Good to have you with us. Let's start with, how, from a U.S. foreign policy perspective, how is the U.S. looking at this election? Could we see a lifting of sanctions? And how do they feel about the de facto opposition leader?
Thank you so much for this interview. The U.S. has been engaged with negotiations, parallel negotiations to the formal negotiation process that was established in 2021 through a memorandum of understanding between the Venezuelan government and the opposition. The U.S. has been in those negotiations, the elephant in the room, and they have conducted parallel negotiations with Maduro and granted some incentives through sanctions relief back in October of last year, in order to allow for these elections to take place. Despite the signature of the Barbados Agreement in October of 2023, the conditions that were established there, not all of them have been complied with. Nonetheless, the Carter Center and the UN panel of experts continue to be on the ground, which is very important, but some other conditions have not been met. For example, the main candidate, Maria Corina Machado, she remains banned, and therefore she could not register as a candidate. But Venezuelans have remained committed and are voting today for Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, the candidate from the opposition.
Right. And talk to us a little bit more about the platform that they are running on, and how is it resonating with voters in Venezuela?
Right now, I think that everybody, not only in the international community, but also in Venezuela, are very clear that these conditions for the elections are not free or fair. Nonetheless, again, people have remained committed to participating. Up until right now, 2 p.m., the conditions have been good. People have been participating in a peaceful manner. There are some reports of detentions, and as you were showing before, some conflicts in different centers, but those are very limited up until this point. The main concern right now that everybody is waiting to see what happens is after the closure of the polling stations at 6 p.m., then how long is it going to take for the National Electoral Council, which is the electoral authority, to make a decision or to publish the results and to give the information of how this process has been taken. Yeah.
Right now, the incumbent Maduro has come out publicly and said that he will accept the results. If Maduro, however, stays in power, what would that mean for the country and for the people of Venezuela?
Under the conditions that these elections are taking place, this would create a very complicated situation for the international community. They will need to make a decision on whether they recognize or not the results, acknowledging all the obstacles that I had mentioned before. Not only that, but if you take a look at the polling, there are reports that go from 12% up until 30% of the population that say that if Maduro stays in power, they would leave the country. The situation right now in Venezuela is very dire. Venezuela is experiencing a complex humanitarian emergency, which of course explains the lack of popularity from Nicolas Maduro. And this can create a very complicated situation as well for other countries in the region. For Colombia, that has received around 37% of the migrants from Venezuela, but also to the U.S. And to that extent, the U.S. is also interested in having a peaceful and democratic solution to the situation in Venezuela because it could also impact its own interests.
All right, Laura Dibb, Director for Venezuela at the Washington Office on Latin America. Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.